Back at it. Those lovely roses that I showed you the other day. Well, this is the 24th, Friday, 24th of October. And as you can see, a lot of them are still so beautiful, but some are beginning to fade. Something about that made me think about my old dad again. I don't think he'd ever been a member of any kind of a lodge until we moved up to Kansas, but he joined the Oddfellows Lodge. I expect one of the neighbors invited him, but he enjoyed the lodge. And as I got older, at Hartner, I joined the same lodge, and my older brother joined the same lodge, I think maybe at Coffeyville, but somewhere along the line. In the lodge, I never saw anything prejudiced at all, or anything but a good organization that focused on the Bible and on good fellowship. And one of the ceremonies, my dad got to play David, and I got to see them put on that particular exercise and saw how much pride he took in playing the role of David, young David, before he was king. But in this talk, there was a passage there about life and about the rose, and how beautiful it is, but how it fades, and that they made the parallel of it, of how beautiful human life is, and how we bloom, come into full beauty, and fade much as the rose fades. Yep, it's on my mind these days to be a little aware of that fading part. After I got that job at Evergreen, and we found out that we were going to live in Bower Spruce Island and wouldn't be able to move in until school started, or almost the week that school started, I commuted back and forth from our house up to Evergreen, taking Bear Creek Canyon. Beautiful drive. It's the shortest distance from our house up to the school was that route. Never once did I go over and get on Highway 70, which is a little faster route. Not as pretty. You know what impressed me the most? Particularly up there around Kittredge and Idledale, where there were a few more houses. Flowers, flowers, flowers. So many beautiful flowers. I don't suppose Coloradans are any more into flower gardening than any place else, but they struck me more than the flowers had any place I'd ever been. Now, it's true that we had some nice flowers at various places that we have lived, and so did our neighbors. I never saw so many pretty flowers as on that beautiful mountain windy trail going up the canyon. Well, I don't remember the secretary's name. I don't know if she was a holdover from the previous year or not. I can't remember. Pretty woman. Hadn't been up there but a day or two, and I'm working at my desk, and I see a shadow go by, and I turn and look, and I saw the biggest kid I've ever seen on a rather small bicycle. So I got up and went to the window and looked a little more. And then I said to her, "Hey, did you see that boy?" "Yes." "Do you know who he is?" "Yes, that's Fred, or Smoky. That's Smoky Barnes." I swear, 7th grader, and I believe he weighed well over 200 pounds, and he was on a bicycle that his parents probably purchased for him when he was in the 5th grade, you know, not a big bike. But it was holding him up, and he was going around, and I don't know if he's being curious or just that's where he came to get a little exercise. Well, when school started, and I found out he was in the 7th grade, it wasn't very long until our 7th grade daughter came home and said, "Do you know what happened at school today? Smoky Barnes got in trouble with Mr. Lamon." Mr. Lamon was the social studies teacher. And she said Mr. Lemon went over and picked Smoky and the desk up. Well, Mr. Lemon was a strong man, but I rather suspicion that when he went over to lift him, that maybe Smoky helped a little on getting up, and he was just big enough that the desk came up with him. Don't really know, but that's my suspicion. It wasn't very long after that, school started, and I'm out at noon looking at the kids on the playground, and they're playing flag football, you know, where the kids have a little belt on and a flag, and the way you make the tackle is you grab the flag. And Smoky is the running back. This little round man, man, boy, he's running, and I'm telling you, to be a big round boy, he was extremely agile. And also he cheated just a little bit. When he'd put that flag on, he'd put it right in the middle of his back. And he was so round, and those kids in general were so small, that not only was he agile, it was pretty hard to reach around him and get that flag. I loved it. I loved it. I've marked that kid down the second time, and I'll tell you a lot of stories about Smoky Barnes as time goes by. One other thing, though, that I noticed in those very first visits to the playground, particularly when I went out and was supervising a little bit and seeing what was going on the playground after lunch, we had a boy who was sitting, another boy, it turned out a 7th grader, who was sitting up on the side of the mountain, and he's chucking rocks down at his fellow students. Got acquainted with him. We'll get back to that story later, too. I always liked the kids. I always knew the kids are kids, and you better keep an eye on what's going on.